We spend a lot of our time learning new stuff, and the viewers of this channel probably more so than the average YouTube population. So it's worth asking ourselves, what are we achieving as we do so? Is it working? How can we tell? And are we getting a worthy return on our investment of time and effort? Viewer Lawi H wrote in a while ago with this intelligent question. Dear Professor Stajano, my question is, what personal measure is fruitful to measure understanding of material? Of course, I have experience with concepts falling into place, and it is this experience that informs my personal measure of when I grasp something, the lines of thought I choose to pursue, and the depth to which I pursue them. Often, intuitive benchmarks are, is it consistent with other concepts? Can I explain it properly? Do I know what the definitions mean that I'm using? Already some recursion here. Can I build something that works? However, I wonder how you, after so many years of research and mentoring students, look at this. And also how you might use this to choose the types of small and big questions to pursue. I mean this in contrast to learning for perfect marks. Great. I'm very happy you care about more than just the exam marks. Perhaps your answer can involve critiquing the vagueness of this question. Thank you very much for your time and also for these videos. They offer a lot. I'm glad that they do, and I'm grateful to you for saying so. This is my main reward for continuing to write and publish them. If you're new here, welcome to Frank Stajano Explains. I'm a full professor at the University of Cambridge, and on this channel I inspire and mentor enterprising computer scientists. Feel free to listen to me on headphones while you wash the dishes or fold the laundry, as this video won't need a lot of fancy visuals. So, how can we assess how well we understand what we study? I find this an interesting question because it's easy for me to read a book and then later not even be sure what it was about. And it's not just a matter of forgetting, which I do a lot of. It's the difference between something I can repeat like a parrot versus something I truly own inside of me. Lawi H, you have some useful ideas here. Can I explain it properly? You said. Good one. Can you explain it to an intelligent person who doesn't know it? Can you explain how Bitcoin works to your super smart elder sister? And are you able to answer any difficult questions you might have after your explanations? Well, that's a good test. If you pass it, then you know Bitcoin well. In my case, at Trinity College, Cambridge, I supervise some very smart undergraduates who are very motivated to do well in their subject. We have private tuition time together where they ask me questions about the parts of the course they got stuck on. Since they are Cambridge students, their questions are never trivial, and they always probe the subtlest and most difficult edge cases, the ones that the lecture or the textbook didn't quite explain so well. And I have to be ready to answer those questions, which forces me to know the subject much better than would be required just to get a good mark in the exam. In fact, that's a strategy I used when I was a PhD student. I volunteered to supervise undergraduates in the security and cryptography course, not so much for the pay, which was not commensurate to the effort I had to put in, but instead because I would get questions by the students on the hardest parts of the curriculum, which would force me to understand it all really well, even the parts I found difficult or boring, because chances are that they might find them hard too, and they would ask me hard questions about them. So by forcing myself to be ready to answer difficult questions on that topic, I would ensure I truly knew that topic well, which would be a good foundation for my PhD, in which I was going to make a novel contribution to that subject. And by the way, if you plan on doing a PhD at some point, I recently did a couple of videos that I believe you will find quite useful. Check the top right-hand corner of your screen. So yes, being able to explain the thing well is a very good criterion. But to me, the gold standard is this other one you mentioned at the end. Build something that works. Do I understand the concept well enough to put it into practice? Can I build anything useful with that knowledge? When I give a lecture about some intriguing topic, for example 2, 3, 4 trees, and you can actually watch my lecture on 2, 3, 4 trees from the card in the top right corner, my best students are the ones who say, this is super cool, and of their own initiative write software to implement it. To be honest, most students can't be bothered. Quite a few would be technically able to do it if they set themselves to it, but few actually do it. They are the ones who usually come on top of their class. And this applies to any other domain as well, not just in school or university contexts. If you are taking a Japanese language course, then building something useful here means, can you actually understand people when they speak to you in Japanese? Can you talk back? Can you watch a movie and make sense of it? Can you ask a girl out in Japanese and say something that will make her giggle? If you take a course about starting a company, can you then start one? Well, that doesn't prove much, actually, because depending on your country, the act of starting a company is usually just filling in some basic forms and paying a registration fee, so that's not much of a challenge. But after that, are you able to find customers? Is anyone actually willing to pay you for whatever it is that your company offers? Are you making a profit or a loss? That's how you see whether you actually learned how to start a company for real. So basically, the serious criterion here is, am I just remembering the stuff, or am I able to act on that knowledge in a way that produces useful results? If yes, that proves that I understood it well. Otherwise, perhaps I deluded myself that I understood it, and in fact I only understood it at a superficial level. And if you are the kind of ivory tower intellectual who believes that this is an impure utilitarian view of knowledge and that one should just pursue knowledge for its own sake, well, we probably disagree, but feel free to argue your point in the comments. To me, when I understand something to the point that I can fruitfully put it into practice, especially to improve my life or that of others, that's when my investment into studying pays off. You also say, how might I use this to choose the types of small and big questions to pursue? Well, that's another very good, worthy thing to ask, and I'm glad you do, because it's all too easy to get caught up in the daily grind and to do stuff just because we are just continuing to do stuff, but without questioning whether it's worth doing or not. And we should question that more often, because time is one of our most precious resources, is the one we can't buy any more of, so we shouldn't be wasting time on activities that are not worth doing. So I can ask myself, if I did learn this topic well enough that I could put it into practice and build something with it, would the things I could build with this new skill be things that improve my life or that of others? And if I have several things I could potentially study, several questions I might pursue, which one, if I acquire the relevant knowledge, would allow me to build the thing with the greatest impact? And that's the one I should pursue first if I care about using my time well. A few days ago I received a beautiful present from my Japanese sword master, which features some Japanese brush calligraphy by him of a famous Zen saying, Furyu Monji. As my senpai explained it to me, Buddhist revelation through intuitive discernment. Spiritual awakening cannot be experienced with words and letters. Spiritual enlightenment can be attained only by means of communion of mind with mind. Zen Buddhism. I'm not a practitioner of Zen, so my understanding of this is very limited, but I can share what this meant to me. For over 20 years, I have been on a long and difficult quest to become a better swordsman, and through that, a better person. Last year, I failed an important exam, which to me was the signal I still needed to improve, and I made a video about that too. Many people, including the examiners who failed me, told me what I should work on, but my sensei instead just told me that I think too much, and that I should not try to understand how to improve through my mind, but through doing it, failing and trying again and again. Practice, 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 struggle against the inevitable difficulties till it finally clicks. And so that's what I did. I came to Japan for an extended period and I practiced really hard against much stronger opponents than I normally face, 6 times a week, week in, week out. And finally, I learned through sweat and hard fights the stuff that I could have never learned through reading even 100 books on this subject. My kendo improved to a noticeable extent, and that's when my sensei gave me that present. The connection to your question is that I knew I learned something when I could feel that my swordsmanship had improved, when I and every one of my partners around me could see that I had become a little better. And of course this process will go on for the rest of my life. Behind this there is a much longer story about learning and perseverance, which several people found inspirational, but which I wrote for a different audience, not computer scientists, but still people on a lifelong path of learning. And if you want me to tell it to you on this channel, say katana in a comment. May your studies lead to meaningful learning that improves lives, including your own, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching till the end.